go.
Deicide.
Hello and welcome to Deicide. I'm your host, deamonmachine, and joining me today we have PonPon. Yay! The best from Team Dignitas, their famous mid laner, is going to represent the little white bar, and of course, hi-rez Bart. Yay! All
Hello.
right. So, of course, there are plenty. Basically, we do our first half hours like Q&A with Bart, so we'll just do it like so. And everybody, if you have questions for Bart, this is his open book time. He'll talk about what he can talk about. And as we were just discussing, we were talking about Gamescom and PAX. So, basically, teams are getting invited, and is it basically based off of their performance over the past?
Yes,
Since the tournament started.
that is true.
Okay. So do you know?
So I mean, the website's kind of janky because it's like,
It's kind of in progress.
it's really not even worth getting into because the website's just kind of garbage in general around tracking your actual performance against your gameplay.
Yeah.
Like it was like this like one of those like, hey, what if we had a point system and I don't know, put something in, and then it was like, how does this thing even work? So it's not necessarily strictly by your point ranking there, although that does have quite a bit of bearing in it. But I mean, you get points for buys, and you get it's really not a very good or empirical way to do it, but it's kind of the best thing we have. So where there's not a clear cut 1, 2, 3, 4 based on those points, then we look at qualifiers or any other kind of way to hopefully empirically make a decision on if we do invite all teams and don't have a qualifier. But this is still kind of it's a show match at the end of the day. It's a four team show match because everyone gets paid out, so it's kind of just a what do we think is going to be the best matches? Who do we think what teams have the most hype? What teams are the best teams? It's not necessarily going to be strictly like who's the best performance in the last 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. Do you know who? Is there any released on who's already been invited?
On what?
To the tournaments on either one. Like, do you know? Are you able to say who's been invited for PAX and who's been invited for Gamescom thus far?
Nobody's been invited to PAX.
Oh, interesting.
To Gamescom, I've spoken to some of the teams, but I don't have confirmation. We'll make an announcement when we have confirmation from all the teams that have been invited.
Okay.
Who, I mean, it's not a secret. You can ask around, I'm sure, if you really want to know, but it's just not. My direction was basically hey, we'll make a public announcement official about who gets invited when they are indeed invited and confirmed.
Cool. So you guys planning to do anything else at these events other than just have the tournament and show off the game? I mean, I can't think of anything else that there is really to do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. No, I mean, it's going to be bring the players out, run the tournaments, hopefully expose ourselves some. Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. New audiences to.
Yeah.
We'll probably do some amount of light to medium press stuff or promotion stuff with the players.
Are you going to have your own booth at the various events, or is it at PAX, are you going to be with Twitch again, or something like that?
I believe PAX the activation is with Twitch again, yes.
Okay.
At Gamescom, it's obviously we're working with ESLs. ESL is the main provider of that event, so for us, that's our primary contact for this event at Gamescom. We worked with them last year as well to have a presence there. So
yeah.
Gamescom's a little bit of a unique situation as Gamescom has a dedicated business hall at that event. It's actually, I don't know if you guys know anything about Gamescom. I didn't, certainly, before I went there. The Gamescom is actually enormous. It's the biggest game conference in the Western world that I'm aware of. It has 13 or 14 halls of a convention center full, and one of the biggest ones is dedicated to business. So you have people like Smite, or hi-rez rather, and then all of the various developers that want to be there, plus all kinds of pay by your cell phone and different payment processing structures and merchandisers and all this stuff, doing business meetings, and then that's where the press comes to talk to the developers directly or these companies directly about what they're offering. So actually our primary booth structure is going to be on the business side, as it was last year and all the years before that with Gamescom. We'll be playing the Smite tournament on the ESL main stage on Friday.
Sweet.
On the consumer side, quote unquote. I mean, there may be some free play computers and stuff as well over there, but our infrastructure focus is primarily on the business side.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you want to get the exposure for it more so than than the rest of that. So the PAX and the Gamescom aren't the same weekend, are they? I don't
Oh
believe
no,
so. That's what I didn't
no,
think. Is it the Gamescom coming up here in like a month, or is it like winter?
no. Wait, what? Say again? I'm sorry, I was getting a G chat
Oh,
that seemed to.
when's the Gamescom date, and then when's the PAX date that are happening?
Gamescom's the third week of August, and PAX is the last week, I think.
Oh, so like a week apart from each other.
Give or take. Yeah, let's see. PAX Prime
Yeah, because
is
PAX
the
Prime I know is
30th to the
before.
2nd.
Yeah.
Gamescom 2013 is
Yeah, PAX is always Labor Day weekend.
the 25th, 21st to the 25th.
Okay, so basically coming up here in 21st of August. Okay, right, not July. So in
That's
about a
right.
month, you're going to be gone from like the 19th through the 7th.
Yeah, that's right. And then last year I also had Paris and Poland on top of that in October, so I don't think
Yeah.
we have that this year. There's also games. QuakeCon is also in August as well, so there'll be quite a bit of traveling in August. You'll get very familiar with whoever is going to be replacing me on the stream.
Very true. PonPon, Best, you guys have any questions for him?
Not really. I mean, it's all pretty straightforward
Yeah.
in terms of like what's going on with those like events and who will get invited, and I'm sure there'll be an announcement at some point. I mean, it's probably safe to say Dignitas and Sipe will at least be invited. So I mean,
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities.
exactly. So
Yeah, I mean, we are best case scenario inviting 4 teams,
Mhm.
but in the case that it's not a very clear cut answer, then we'll be evaluating qualifiers. So I have a question. When are you and Matty Pocket going to join Denial Pun?
oh man,
I know it's coming.
I could drop that. That's pretty much exactly what I'm being asked right now.
I'm
So
sure. Yeah. I mean, I mean, clearly they're the ones trying to make the move, and
Yeah.
you're the
yeah,
you're
that'll
the
likely be
free
where
agents. That'll what?
That'll likely be where I go, depending.
Where you go if you decide to come back?
Yeah, it'll be Denial.
Yeah. I mean, they got a strong team. Payne is a really good player. It seems like a good captain. I think that, yeah, people in chat are confused about Google just like doesn't render out the videos at top quality and the thumbnails
Yeah.
that Demon's capturing unless you're speaking. That's why he's going back and forth.
That's how Google Hangouts works. Like, there's a bunch of little windows at the bottom, and then there's a big window at the top, and whoever's in the big window is the one who's focused at the bottom window. Usually, the people aren't big enough to where you can really tell, but anyway. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see what goes on there. All the people that are gonna be taking over while everybody else is gone. I mean, it's like a large chunk of hi-rez picking up and going to all these events, or is it like
Well, I
is it
mean,
like a skeleton crew going out to these events?
it's generally myself and Nabil are kind of the core crew for event activation.
Mhm.
Beyond that, we kind of evaluate case by case and event by event who else is needed. For some events, we take executives. Sometimes we take executives and high level kind of leads in the different areas if they want to go. Like if they are like really want to go to PAX or something,
Yeah.
we'll take them. But in general, we try not to take very much of the development staff and focus more on the community staff and people like myself and Kelly and Adam and Nabil and Enna and people that do more non-critical development tasks.
Okay. So that way, those people are back home in case something breaks.
Well, I mean, it's not even in case something breaks; it's to keep making the game.
That's true.
Like we have some pretty tight deadlines and schedules right now. We're also working pretty hard towards a very, very, very big announcement at Gamescom. So we're grinding towards that goal.
Well, now you're gonna have everybody on the edge of their seat. Thank you.
No, don't. Oh, this is just the first taste
Of what's to
wait,
come.
I'll really start hyping it up.
Yeah. The first lovely taste. Interesting. Awesome. Well, I guess we'll move on to the patch notes and discussions about that because I've heard some people complain very vehemently about how much they do not like the current patch. Some people love it. But so what do you guys think is going to happen? I guess Bart, what do you think is going to happen now with the jungle? I mean, was there a goal in mind when you did the change the Bumba's mask, or was there like a reason that it was changed other than the fact that maybe the jungler was getting too fed?
I think in general, a very, very what will behoove many of these people. But basically, when you think about changes we make, don't take them too seriously. Like, we made the lanes shorter and longer just to see what would happen. And then it was like, what if we did this to Mumba's Mask? What would happen? Like, it's not like there's this grand design of like, okay, well, we introduced the long lane and the short lane, nerf the jungling, especially for double junglers, so that we can effectively, make it a 2-1-2 or 1-1-1-2 meta with a, dedicated side lane jungler, so that you have like, no, it's not that serious. It's more of a just experimenting with it. Double roaming was an unintended consequence, I imagine, of the Mumba's Mask change. That's why you see it changed. You don't want, I mean, it was just too good, I think, in my opinion, just too good for supports, right? I mean, it's kind of everything a support wants. Like, you don't have to actually do anything. You babysit your most important farmer, and you just get free experience and gold for it, right? I mean, it was like, with Midas Boots and the gold spooling, plus an occasional, lasted here or there, or just the passive gold from being around the kills, you got farmed enough. And then the solo laners were able to set under towers long enough that they could just transition to the late game for free without having to itemize anything for the early game. So that's, in my opinion, the things that were why they were changed is a much different question than what they affected, and I think those are the things they affected. Now, why they were changed was, why not? What if sort of thing.
Yeah. Because I mean, you guys still want to do the viability of a 2-1-2, a jungling, that kind of where you have options as opposed to, well, this is the meta, this is how it's going to run all the time.
Well,
stuff like
clearly
that.
The goal is always to make it so that the game is versatile enough that the players define all of that, not design.
Yeah. Very nice. So if you have questions for Bart in the chat, just format it with like question and then comment, or you can call me up on Skype, which I actually don't have posted in here right now. At Smite Talk. That's another good way of doing it. Oh. Somebody asked if you guys know if they'll be at DreamHack Winter in Sweden this year.
I don't know.
Fair enough. Figured that would be the comment, but you never know. Yeah. Yeah, as I say, you guys moved around the shop a little bit with the potions and stuff. Like you put the or the mana potion on top and the health potion under it instead now. So I almost
don't know
got.
anything about that.
Do what? What'd you say?
I don't know anything about that. It's people talking about it, but
it was really sad because with war, specifically with the wards, is they added the new ward and the wards looked the same, so you had to read the description to see which one was right, and you finally got used to it. And the next patch, they just swapped locations and descriptions. And you're just like, what?
Wait, so you're saying that mana pots now show up as wards in the description?
No, it's not even description. It's just like the placement on their list where you're used to tabbing into that and picking up your health potion and mana potion. They're just swapped.
Oh, they're just swapped
in the list.
Yeah, bodied.
So instead of getting the sentry wards like you meant to, you got regular wards, and then you also got health pots instead of mana pots, or something like that.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, who knows
it'll take
why?
everybody a week to get used to that. Because I mean, everybody stopped reading it at this point, where they're just like click, 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 and then away they go.
It was probably like, oh, we should sort health pots above mana pots because alphabetical, or whatever, something like.
Put all the green things together and all the blue things together.
Yeah, who knows, man? It could have been like, product testing tells us that people like green more than blue, so let's put that at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I did that. I bought 3 wards. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna ward up, and I ward up, and I see a ward pop up, and I'm like, wait, I bought the 3-minute wards. And I look, I'm like, god damn it.
Yeah. If that's the biggest problem with this patch, I am a happy camper.
I am not sure how this gold not getting any when it gets touched by a tower. PonPon, Best, you guys experienced this frustration or have any opinion on it?
I played a 60-minute game where I had less gold than the enemy Ymir and Apollo who were pushing me under tower, but I was level 10 when they were level 6, and then I just started jumping on them and clearing the wave and then running back under tower as they couldn't actually hurt me anymore. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It encourages pushing and it encourages aggression, and the goal is to like push so that they don't get any gold, but you're not putting yourself at risk. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
haven't
how I
really
like it. I
played
gotta
much,
play.
so I can't really say much about it.
You haven't played much? How could you? It's a patch day.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been playing different games. Oh, I'm sorry,
Fire
but
him, Bart. Fire him now.
Why are you not
Yeah, you've been playing what, CS:GO?
CS:GO, yeah.
That go. Reverse gun game.
I've been playing Space Channel 5, and I renamed. Yeah, you need to change it. I'm not PonPon. I'm PonPon Ooh now, Demon Machine.
That's right. Is it ooh? I don't even know how to spell ooh.
ULALA.
ULALA. That's I figured. Yeah. So, let's see. Questions. Oh yeah. How long till the hell rework? Is there any like any?
Sometimes
time frame on
Ares
that?
says things. That's the answer to that question.
Say again.
Sometimes Ares says things.
Yeah.
There's no like plan in motion right now to rework hell.
Okay.
It's something that is like on the list of things to do at some point, but
yeah.
it's not like there's a guy right now like poring over Hell's kit and trying to decide what to do with it. It's just like hey, at some point in the next few months, let's
do
do
something
something
with
to
that.
Hell. Yeah, let's like kind of like Bakasura and Bastet and Vamana, and they're just like hey, these guys, people kind of always bitch about them, and
Yeah.
new players have a hard time playing them or something, or any of that kind of stuff. So it's just like at some point we'll do something.
So we
But-
have a question of thoughts on shell or shard. Some of the new
Thoughts
items.
on them?
Yes.
My opinion on Shard is that it should be you should gain 1% per stack. It should stack 20, 30, 40 per rank and have a significantly lower cooldown so that it takes longer, like that you're gating its effectiveness based on how long it takes you to build the stacks, not on a more arbitrary cooldown. So that the other team can either choose to not spam spells at you, noticing you have that item, or anticipate that that's going to be the case. Put it on something more like a 30-second cooldown. And yeah.
PonPon, you had an interesting time with that earlier today, didn't you?
Yeah. I actually agree with Bart. Maybe not to the degree that he's put it at, where it would take like 30 and you only have 1%. But I definitely like the idea of more stacks, because that way you can actually feel like there's some counterplay. But Shard, I became untouchable. I built Tank Odin, and then I just kind of dived 5 people and then walked out with Shard, healing me like almost half my health. And it was really hard to ever do anything to me. I think Shard is a relatively good item. Shell is also a very good item. I think Shell is probably one of the things that tanks are like they have to pick up now. Because it brings so much to the team in terms of like protection. That's huge.
I think maybe that the Shard should not be percentage based. That would be my opinion. I feel like it's too strong for the wrong roles. Like it doesn't need to be a burst healing item for tanks.
Yeah, I think this patch kind of encouraged bruisers and tanks to come back again.
Yeah,
just because of like Void Blade and Void Stone essentially got a nerf to where now it's not Aura anymore, and they've added a lot of ways to gain health based off percentage, and they've added L, and so with the nerf to like one of your pen items and the buff to like burst healing and armor, I think tanks are going to be a little bit crazy this patch.
I imagine
compared to where they've been,
quite difficult to deal with.
Tank meta.
Like Herc, Odin, Athena, Sobek are going to be like impossible.
Yeah, I think you'll see Sobek banned out of every game. That would be my guess. I mean, he's just going to be godlike. He's going to be able to steroid his own protections through his passive, and then further steroid them, and basically just be unkillable.
And I will also say that like tanks did have a problem where they'd run out of mana if like you really pressured them. That's no longer the case because there's a blue buff right next to them in all cases.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that also will help. Like that's how I just was able to constantly jump 3 and then run under my tower, was because I had the mana to do so. If I ran out of mana, I would have had to back and that tower would have instantly fallen. But I was able to hold it for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. I mean, I'm assuming that the mana buff change was just because you can, and also so that you don't play favorites with a side. You don't want to have to force. Like one of the big problems in the previous patch was that you wanted your solo laner to get blue buff, But if you were the unlucky one to be the solo laner where there was no blue buff, then you just had to get meditation or a bunch of pots, or you're just kind of screwed. So I mean, was that kind of the reasoning behind maybe changing that so that way both lanes have the option of trying to get the blue buff?
Was that a question for me? I wasn't sure if you were asking PonPon or asking me. So
Well, I mean,
Yes.
I that's what I thought it was for. I thought
Yeah,
it
that's
was
what I thought it was for too. Would be
there's
that
no
I would.
discrimination between the short lane and long lane.
that's the biggest piece of it. I think was that it would be unfair to have a short lane one side that had mana or attack speed or whatever
Yeah.
versus the other that didn't. So in a maybe less than transparent way of making more lane combinations possible, you just homogenize the buffs.
I actually don't mind that because I think like cooldown was always in a weird spot where like mathematically it's good, but like it's not. As a player, it doesn't feel nearly as good to pick up compared to like red speed or blue. And so now you've paired it with a buff that everyone likes, and I think it at least feels better.
Yep.
To pick up that buff.
I mean,
Cooldown reduction is a little bit strange for all. I mean, it also helps, I think, lower level players because I mean, if you get cooldown reduction buff on Guan Yu at rank 3 or whatever, you just started playing the game and then like you're just out of mana instantly.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that's up. Oh, that's up. Oh, no mana.
Very
Now,
true.
granted, you also start with meditation and sprint, but still.
Yeah. So questions. Ooh. I'm curious about the not the obsidian shard, but not the obsidian. God. Gem of isolation. There we go. And what was the new one called? The gem of I forget what it's called. The second the split.
It's the one that does on auto attacks.
Yeah. What Bart, what do you see happening with that? With the in-hand auto attacks,
Binding.
look at Kronos. His in-hand is magic right now.
Hmm?
And if he gets that, and he's already 3 times faster than you, he's just going to be able to chase you infinitely.
Mm-hmm.
What about when Freya gets her in-hand changed to magic?
What do you mean? It works with her now.
It works.
Gem
I
of
mean,
isolation. She wouldn't change
Yeah,
Okay.
it works with her now.
so
because you'd also want the slow on your ult.
Yeah, you would buy Gem of
Yeah.
Isolation for Freya in either case, but
Yeah.
I mean, the Gem of Binding will work for Odin if you buy it. It's not limited to magical in-hands. It's your in-hand attack slows. It's just a magical option of Frostbound Hammer.
I'm waiting for Vulcan to get switched to in-hand magic because technically he's a mage, right?
Yeah.
So when he gets his magic in hand and he can scale off magic power that way, building that gem of binding and becoming
gonna be
like the
godlike,
mage bruiser.
Yeah, he's gonna be disgusting.
So, I don't know. You think that's a little too strong for letting them chase you infinitely without any good? I mean, other than getting purification beads or something that could help you get out of said thing. But even say if somebody like Kronos who can just speed around in many
Kronos has
instances.
like 410 base health. Just kill him. I mean, that's your option, right? You force him to rewind. That's how his kit works. He has very low survivability. I mean, unless he's built Bruiser as well, then you're pretty much screwed. I mean, if he has a Bulwark of Hope and a Gem and a Demonic Grip, and you're trying to run from him, you're dead. So that's what that character does, right? I mean, he can chase you down. He can burst okay at the late game, but like most of the game, his weakness is that he has to do that. And against a coordinated team, it just ain't gonna work. You're just gonna be chasing someone, trying to auto attack him 9 times to kill him, and you're gonna die. I mean, that's the trade-off of playing that god.
Yeah, I mean, you could also like right now you could pick up the current gem of isolation, like or last patch I guess you could have picked up the normal one, and your 1 and your 3 on such a low cooldown that really you can also keep them slowed that way.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't add that much slowing to him. It just helps him so that he doesn't have to use his 1 and 3. If he 3 sets up and wants to chain auto attacks to keep it slow on you, now he can.
One of the biggest problems that he seems to have as a mage is that if you have to go anti-heal on him, it's kind of hard to stack up 3 ticks. Like that's where he seems to be like Spear of the Magus, Divine Ruin, those types of items don't work very well for him. And sometimes that's really what you need. He's kind of an awkward kit, right? Like you can't burst well enough to be a pure mage in the mid game. And your auto attacks don't necessarily scale enough for ganking until the ultra late game. So you have a very, and he has just like an abominable early game if you don't land. Like you don't have enough mana to harass and clear, so you have to buy early meditation to make his laning phase strong for farming and harass. I don't know. I feel like he's in a pretty good spot personally.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So questions. We get the last few questions in here with Bart before he has to run to do his own thing. So don't hold back now.
Yeah, I do need to. Sayo's complaining that he needs to talk to me for forever, so
Yeah.
I see him in chat complaining. I spoke on the wildcard post on Reddit. Can I elaborate? Is that private, or just, I mean, it's just like that's within. I mean, what I said is what I'll say here. It's within the realm of possibilities. We'll run a qualifier for the EU tournament.
Yeah.
We're looking at it right now. We should make a decision in the next couple of days as to if we're going to divide a fourth team or run a qualifier. I will tell you that there is no clear-cut fourth-place team in Europe, so it will require a little deeper digging of performance, as well as players, as well as hype, as well as all these other factors.
Yeah.
But in general, it is something that we are currently looking at.
Fair enough. So I mean, you guys definitely want to invite 4 teams to both said events. You're not going to like say, well, we don't have enough, so we're just going to do 2 instead.
No, the goal is to have 4 invited teams at both events. Now, that was, well, it's incorrect to say that's the goal. That was the game plan that was laid out for me to execute, is I guess the most accurate way to put it. Not to suggest by any means that that's not something I agree with, but just that's the reality of the situation. So, obviously, running a qualifier is great. It's another opportunity for people to get hype.
Yeah.
So here's to lay it all, kind of flat out there. Here's the issue with it. Timing wise, it's a nightmare based on a cup that's going to be announced in the next couple of days. It'll be running in the next couple of weeks. So finding time to run the qualifier before Gamescom is going to get tricky to give teams enough time to prepare to come. So what we would have to do most likely is say that one of the weekend tournaments, perhaps the week after this one, would be the official qualifier for Gamescom, and the teams that are already invited would not be allowed to compete in the European region that week. So that would be the path to running a qualifier, just based on all the other stuff that's going on with Smite right now, in terms of other tournaments that we're promoting and that kind of thing. So that's how it would work, but again, it's not clear that that's going to be the case now.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Bart. We'll let you go so you can get to your other responsibilities.
Yeah, I can listen to Sayo complain to me for 25 minutes for a stream. I can't wait. That's a cute cat.
Voice.
I know,
Poor
right?
Sayo.
He decided to jump on me and try and claw me, so now I'm holding him so that he has to dance.
Is he still being bitey?
Punishment. Yeah. He doesn't know how to retract his claws, I don't think, and so whenever he jumps on me, he always like scratches the crap out of me.
Trim them things. Why they make
I should.
scissors.
All right, guys, take it easy. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for
guys.
being on.
As per usual, best. You didn't say much, and you weren't of very much value, but at least you're here.
I'm here in spirit.
Just kidding. All right, you guys have fun, and I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
All right, let me fix these overlays. So, what do you guys see as being, I guess, a possible meta now? Is it going to be just jungle all the time? You have to have at least one jungle? I mean, this effectively kills the double jungle with the nerf to Bumbas.
I think it's way too early to say. They added a lot that changed. Like, I saw some people talking earlier and saying, not in this chat, but they were saying like, oh yeah, it's a big deal that they made it so that whenever minions hit a tower, you don't get gold for it. But it's not going to really change how the lanes work. It kind of could. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a tri-lane start, push out a player, and push down the tower, and then go really aggressive on the enemy jungler, because you'll start where the enemy jungler will be going to, be really aggressive there, and then try and continue to push down that tower. And you'll get so much of a gold lead, potentially, that you could just go back, buy, immediately get your teleport ward, push down the tower, actually get the tower kill, and you won't be that far behind. The enemy jungler won't be in a good spot, the enemy laner won't be a good spot, and now you're already a tower up, and so your mid and your other solo lane should be okay. And so you could see that might not be how the meta devolves, I really doubt it, but like you could have crazy stuff happen, and so it's really too early to tell.
Yeah.
We did a lot of theory crafting, and I'm not going to say much, but it's going to be an interesting weekend.
Yeah. I
don't have
expect
any
it'll end up
nuggets?
being... I expect it'll be 1-1-2 with a jungler, but like the double lane will have a huge impact in how the game goes.
Okay, one thing I've seen a lot of confusion about lately is what do you guys think has to be the single lane, the long one or the short one?
The one by Gold Fury.
Yeah, the shorter one, isn't it? Or
I think it's the longer one.
The
The
longer
longer
one?
one
Yeah.
is a Gold Fury. The shorter one is
yeah,
Fire
the
Giant.
Gold Fury one. Yeah.
Yeah, the Gold
Okay,
Fury
so
one.
they
It's
should
for
be
the
the
same reason
longer
why you have. It's the same reason why you have Dragon.
Yeah, two-hit dragon at the bottom lane and league and stuff like that.
It is also really scary to be a solo laner in a long lane. That's just asking to die.
Wait,
At least
so
if you have two people,
you just the long lane is the Gold Fury side.
yeah, you're gonna have the dual lane there.
Oh, did I say the dual lane?
Oh,
or
you
single lane?
No, I'd have the dual lane there because yeah, like the reason why you go on the Gold Fury and you have a dual lane is the same reason you have two people at bottom in League of Legends. You have an objective there, and it's incredibly scary to be alone in that long lane.
Yeah.
You can get away with it if you're like Vamana, but like in most other cases, you'll probably die especially if you try and go forward for like any minions.
So would it be maybe a theoretical possibility of putting your two in the short lane to try and rush down the tower and then switch over to the long lane?
Possibly.
Or at least maybe just get an early kill by doing that and then swapping to do the farming, so to speak, as per normal.
It's there's a lot that can be done with now that there's a short lane and a long lane, and now that there's minions being killed or being hit makes you lose gold like completely.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's a lot you can do.
hmm
So what are some things that regular average players could do to prepare for this current bend over meta?
Learn bruisers, learn pushers. Learn how to
meta.
play. Yeah, learn how to play the tanks, learn how to play the bruisers, and learn how to play anyone that can instantly clear a creep wave at level 2.
So who would be some of these bruisers that like you would? What would be the top 4 solo laners that you would pick?
Hercules, Odin, Vimana, and Sobek.
Sobek is a solo laner.
He can be.
You can be.
So then who would you run? Would you still run an AD, ranged AD, and then another tank in the 2 lane, or would you run something different, like maybe a magical, like a Ra and a Neath, or would you go like a Ra and a tank?
The dual lane has at least more options available. I currently see ranged tank. So like you have your tank bruiser in the left, who's going to build really tanky because he's a solo laner. You're going to have your tank in the right lane with like a ranged AD, and then you're going to have your melee, your physical jungler, and your mage in the mid. And I think that's pretty much how the game's going to go.
I don't want to say too much about our strats, but there's going to be a lot of options with this patch.
I mean, and even that, I don't think that 1-1-2 jungler setup has that much strength over other setups. And I don't think the jungler role is as needed as it was, so you could potentially also run 2-1-2.
Yeah, that's what.
And you could even run 3-1-3-3 on the short lane, and see how that goes. You might cheese a win against a team that's not expecting it.
But I mean, I guess if you can make it work out to your advantage, how would you just rush down the tower? Is that the point of the 3-1 or the say 1-1-3?
The 1-1-3, how you'd play it is you'd get your buff, and you'd rush the jungler side because the jungler is going to likely have started the side camp and then going back to the red. You rush there as 3 and try and pressure him out. At the same time, you also try and pressure up the solo laner right there, and then you run to lane, you push it under the tower, and you continue pressuring that jungle really hard. And you basically want to make it so that the jungle stays alive, but the solo laner and the jungler can't do anything about it. And so the jungler is forced to have to go farm the other side and not be in a good position, and then you just keep pushing under the tower until it falls.
So you just
And you'll get away with it because you'll have a level advantage. And if you let that lane go on too long, though, you'll lose that level advantage very quickly, and so that's the weakness to it.
How long is too long?
That tower should fall probably before the first respawns of the jungle, so 4 minutes.
Okay.
And if it goes longer than that, the enemy team is essentially won. At least for that part of the phase of the game.
Unless you manage to reset it and get something normal out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the goal there is basically to try and you're essentially making 3 people weaker than they need to be because they're going to be in the jungle a lot. They are splitting experience 3 ways, but you're hoping that you can not only weaken those 2 drastically weaker than you're weakening your 3, but you're also trying to go for an early tower. And an early tower is essentially a free teleport scroll for everyone, which opens up a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that you can logically argue that that could be a thing, that's kind of how open the meta is right now. Who knows what will develop and who knows what will stick. It's
Yeah.
too early, really, to say anything.
It literally came out like 6 hours, or maybe 8 hours ago. So,
And I guarantee you, any strat that like Dignitas has come up with, it'll go through a lot of revisions up until that tournament. Because I guarantee you, and once you throw it in practice, you'll be like, we could do this more optimally, and this is not as optimal as we thought it was, and
Yeah.
it will swap hard.
this sucks. This
Yeah.
is great.
Gonna see today if our strats work in scrims.
They get scrimming today?
Hope so. If we have teams to scrim.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, do you think we'll see the double AD ranged lanes in, say, that double lane where it's just push, 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 push really fast to deny the other person experience?
That lane will lose for the reason why the Ymir Apollo lost. Even if you do push under the tower, the Bruiser, who should be solo laning, will eventually hit a point where I'll hit level 5 before you do. And all that has to happen is the jungler needs to walk over and support that fight, and the double range AD will die. And so, like, you need to. There's a small gap where even though you're winning because you're denying gold, you're really vulnerable because you've lost the level advantage, and at that point, you could die. Like, you need to like fall back and let it reset, and that's why I kind of don't want to run duo versus solo, especially in like the short lane. Like, that's why I think duo should just stick to the right lane, because you can end up actually screwing your team. The only time you should really ever put more than one against the solo laner is if you're looking to do a rush down strat and kill a tower early.
Yeah. Because you're just going to give him levels and not give yourself levels.
Yeah, even if you're denying him gold, he's, especially early on, levels are essentially like you're getting stats per level. And
Yeah.
so those stats you're getting is effective gold. And
Yeah.
so even if he might be 400 behind, he's 2 levels up, and effective gold dictates that puts him actually ahead of you, especially with early skills.
Yeah. So, I guess since there's not a whole lot more we can speculate on without just purely speculating, is there any other major things that you think were changed that are causing a huge headache for the meta? Best or PonPon? Gula.
Shard.
Say that again?
Shard.
The one Bart, yeah. Just because it does the healing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Best can agree with this, is right now, because tanks benefit from that the most, because it's percentage-based. Anything percentage-based health is going to affect tanks the most. It's why you don't build Stone of Gaia on someone that only has 900 of health. It's not worth it.
Mhm.
Build Bulwark if you really want MR. And so, if I'm Odin with 2.7 Oak, if I'm 2.7k health with a ton of armor, a ton of MR, and it's already taken a whole team to even bring me down to half, and I can instantly heal that half back up, I basically can dive 1v5, force all the damage on me, and then reset.
Yep.
So,
And so right now, tanks are the dominant thing right now. Just in the few games I played, tanks are the dominant. Tank meta has returned
yeah.
in full swing.
So explain how the shard works Oh, hi Spray. I guess Spray will be joining us. Can you cover really quick how the shard works, since I haven't really used it yet?
It's 3% base, so you heal 3% health. God, Oak, what are you doing? Okay, 3%, and then any spell that's used within 80 yards or 80 feet of you from the enemy team will give you another stack, and you heal 3% more per stack. So effectively, you have 3% base, and then you have 3% per stack for 9 stacks, so you can heal 30%. And that's on a 180-second cooldown. And then rank 2 is the same thing except on a 120-second cooldown. And then the final rank splits, but the health one is essentially 40% max. It's 4% and 4% per stack. And it also heals mana. And it's on a 120-second cooldown, so the cooldown doesn't go down. The other one is damage reflect, which is interesting, but I don't think is as valuable. Because if you're the tank and you're using that and you're going in, you're not taking much damage, so you're not reflecting much back. The theoretical best situation would be you get one-shotted, but you've reflected back some odd percentage of that, but that doesn't really help you. So I think that one has kind of limited use. But
Does that work for all damage?
as far as I can tell, yes. It's not Nemean. It says damage taken. And so I think you can reflect anything back.
Reflecting like a Kraken or something? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a percentage of the Kraken, so imagine if your Kraken only hit for a fifth of the damage. That's what you'll be reflecting back. Which is good, but I mean, so is healing up 1,000 health.
Yeah. So, how do you use the shard effectively when you're, say, a tank and you're jumping in on 5 people? Do you use it
jump
right when you get in?
No, you jump in, you deal damage, you wait till you have 9 stacks, and I mean, especially if you're tanky, you'll build those 9 stacks really quickly, and it's also entirely possible you have them already from just like small skirmishes and other things, because you're not going to use it every time it's off cooldown.
Okay,
you'll eat 2 spells, so you likely have 9 even when you jump in. But if you don't, you jump in, you take the damage, 9 spells are used on you, and then you heal up the second you get low enough health that would heal you without overhealing.
What is that?
And then that's it. Overhealing would be like, let's say it heals 800 and I have 2,000 health. I would wait till I'm 1,000.
Oh, priceless. What? Wait for it. PonPon? That was funny. That's actually kind of funny. PonPon, are you there? It's all about it. All right, well, while PonPon gets back, Spray. What do you think of this patch thus far? Professor Spray Yarn.
What do I think of the patch?
You are super quiet.
Oh, am I? Hang on, I'll try and...
Why are you so bad? So anyway.
I have my microphone on max, so I don't know.
Maybe you just got to move it closer to your face.
Alright, I'll do that.
Yep, Spray looking like Professor Spray.
Alright, now then?
I think
better?
I think it's pointing in the wrong direction is basically the general consensus here.
No, it's better now. I hope so.
It's better now?
I don't know. I'll try. Alright, now then?
I think it got worse.
Really? Oh, come on.
Spray, you're terrible. Just hold it in front of you and talk for a little bit. You can do that.
Alright, I'll do that. Just so much work.
Hello.
Hey, you made it back.
Hi.
Man, I went on a whole rant, and I don't think you heard any of it.
Yeah, we heard.
Good.
We heard when you have, what was it, 1,000 health, and you want to heal for and then it.
Was I explaining overhealing?
Yes.
Overhealing is basically like if I have 2,000 health, and my thing will heal me for 800. I don't use it until I'm at 1,200 health, because if I use it earlier, it's just wasted.
Right.
Like, why would I heal 500 health when I could heal 800 by just waiting to eat some more damage?
Right. Okay. Then we were talking about the stacks. My question was, you don't lose stacks. They don't diminish over time or something. When you get a stack from somebody using a spell, it just stays there permanently.
Yep, until you use
Until
it.
you use it. Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay. I didn't quite understand that then. I thought maybe it was like a Fatalis or something like that.
It wasn't like you popped it and then jumped in and waited, and then at the end of like a certain duration, it like ticked and exploded and gave you health. No, it works basically like you just have it off cooldown, and you get a stacking thing on you that whenever any spell around you happens, you just hold on to it.
Wow.
And then you can just use it, and then the only limiting factor is the cooldown, really. But you can gain stacks while on cooldown, so.
You can gain stacks while it's on cooldown as well?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
So you
Yeah, I
basically have
abused
9
that item
stacks
heavily in that
of
last
damage.
game.
I believe it. Okay, we have a question from a new player to Smite. He says he's looking for a god similar to Fenrir. What would you guys recommend? Because that's what he's enjoyed playing thus far.
Similar to Fenrir.
Is like in a jungle though?
So are you
or
looking for
like-
another jungler type person, or maybe? I mean,
you could be looking for like maybe an assassin who has like a CC immunity ult, and I would say like Kali would be another potential.
Loki, maybe.
Not so much Loki. I'm looking for like a CC immune ult mainly, or you could do Hoonbots. I would say Kali or Hoonbots. Those are characters who are pretty assassinish, like to jump into the middle of the fray and can do a lot in the middle of the fray, and
Thor
are pretty
too.
mobile. Yeah, Thor's another one.
Yeah.
Assassins that can jump around. Yeah, I would say Thor.
Thor,
Holly
yeah.
not so much jumpy, but she's pretty fast.
Kali doesn't jump, but she moves really fast. Hoonbots and Thor, I would say. Try those.
Yeah.
All right. So hi.
Hello.
Still sound terrible.
Yeah, you
Wait,
super
wait.
quiet.
Good job sounding awful.
Hi.
There you go.
Hello.
This is so annoying, but okay, fine.
All right. So, what do you think of this patch thus far, Spray?
From the few hours of it.
Yes, exactly.
I guess it's pretty okay actually. I'm still a bit confused about the change to gold, where you gain 0 gold if the enemy, if the, I mean the.
If the tower hits
What's it
the
called?
minion, you get no
Yes.
gold from it.
Exactly. I'm still a bit confused over that change. I mean, it definitely forced a whole new meta game. But so far, I actually like this patch overall. I think they made some good changes. But I haven't played it enough to, really give my whole
Full opinion on it.
feedback on it. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I guess we'll kind of like come towards the closing point of it because it's almost 3:00. But anything else big you guys wanted to bring up about this latest patch? Something that like you're like, oh my god, does shard need to be nerfed almost immediately? PonPon, would you say?
No, I don't think it needs to be
because
nerfed
I want to win
almost
some more.
I think the bigger problem is, and I was really worried with how they're gonna implement like the magic protect physical item. It's just right now tanks, especially with like how important it is to hold that solo lane. Tanks are the only ones that can actually like absorb enough damage that they can go and take the mini wave and then like get out without dying.
Yeah.
And so you've basically forced tanks to be something that you need to bring in. And it's just compounded with stuff like some of the new items and
Shield.
like shard and shield. Like the shield is fantastic, especially on like a
way
tank.
too good.
It's that might be. I think that's more problematic than the shard. I think giving 45 protection to your entire team while also giving them a 15% damage reduction is way too good. That
agree.
is, like, if you go to any other, like, if you go and just mathematically look at the gold value of skills when they're used, like, if you go, like, look at Girdle, for example, and see what it gives you for gold value, it doesn't even nothing comes close. Nothing comes remotely close. It's 45 protection is huge.
Yeah.
Put that down along with Ice Assault. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, like, no one's dying.
Period. And then
Like
they're
you
gonna
could
heal up
you
for
could have
everything.
Thor ult, triple Agni meteors, Poseidon Kraken hit you, and you'll all be fine.
For how long? Is it like 3 seconds or?
I would have to go look.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's on the Smite
It's
wiki yet.
5 seconds.
5 seconds, yeah.
Okay.
It's just a huge boost to defense. It's kind of silly.
Yeah.
Like because it's directly contrasted to the Girdle. Like it's the defensive Girdle.
Yeah.
But if you look at Girdle, that gives you like just damage, and it doesn't really like even come close to being able to negate the defensive version of itself.
Here's a question: does Shell and Athena's ult stack?
Probably.
I would think they probably would because they're two different like
I imagine
things.
like if the 5% from boots and the 15% stack, then Athena would. Now the question could be, how do they stack? Are they additive or multiplicative? And I don't know. I'd have to go do the math on that, but I
Yeah,
bet they do stack.
that would be that'd be really good to save somebody. But I mean, one thing I would think about Shell is it'd be great for the solo laner because suddenly gank and then suddenly I'll be all right for 5 more seconds, and then use
Uh,
the
Shard kind of does that.
yeah, and then use the
The
shard to
shield is
clean up.
more. Well, the shield is more for your like tank that's in the duo lane.
Okay.
I think Shard is good for your solo laner because the solo laner is going to be eating enough of abilities to be able to use it constantly, and he's probably going to initiate more while you're the support tank. Like you're going to have your bruiser that's going to need that burst healing like Odin, and you're going to have your support Sobek in the back or support whatever in the back that's protecting your carries anyway, and that's where he'll defend it. So I don't see it being used in the solo lane. But it's definitely something that every tank should consider getting very, very seriously.
Well, cool. So you would recommend on the solo lane, at least all the people should try out the shard.
Mm-hmm.
And do you get that as early as possible, or like what kind of build
I
do you
personally
run?
start Mark rank 1 shard and then 10 of potions.
Okay.
All right,
I know
I just
it's
have
spray on and best
one.
think.
All right, so I just have one question then. Do you go for the static shard or the other shard?
I go for the healing shard mostly because I think the healing is too good, and I don't know how like that item is in a weird place because you think it'd be good, but I mean if I can deflect a Hebo ultimate, that would be great, right? But if I have so much MR that like that Hebo ult doesn't really hurt me that much, it's hurting my carries. It's not going to reflect that much to the Hebo. Ideally, I have 0 protections, and that deals as much damage to me as possible, so I can I can explode whoever used it on me. But I just don't think it synergizes well with tanks.
Yeah, I would
I
agree
think
with
the
Pon.
percent health is just too good for
I
tanks.
don't know, like I've been playing a bit with this shard, and I don't really seem to like it that much. I guess it's more like how you
How you use it?
play this
Yeah.
solo lane, I guess, because I I, I don't really find it like I actually need the shard. Like I feel like the shard is just like a waste of a build slot, but I don't know.
Okay. Best, do you have any
Like
opinion?
like if you compare shards and like something like beats or ages, you know, it just feels like those are better overall.
Hmm. Get shard and Aegis. All right, all right. Well, time to wrap it up. It is now that time to go. PonPon Best Spray On, who joined us for the last 5 minutes. Thank you all for joining me. Do you have anything you would like to say? I mean, you can post your links in the chats wherever you stream and Twitter and things like that. Um, other than that, do you have anything you want to say before you go?
I personally love my new name, and if you don't know where my name comes from, you should go play or at least look up Space Channel 5, because it's the best name now in all Smite. It even beats the best.
PonPon, ooh la la.
It does.
Dude, have you seen Space Channel 5?
I have not.
You go look it up. It's fantastic.
Best, do you have any last final words?
Spray for spray.
Yeah,
Spray for spray.
Purple spray, yes. That's a very
Exactly.
good word.
definitely. All right. Well, Spray, do you have anything you want to say before you go?
Purple spray.
Good. All right. Well,
There we go.
thank you all for joining us for this episode of Deicide. Join us next week at this time for the pretty much same kind of thing. Don't forget to follow the channel. I'm starting to stream daily, Monday through Friday, like 8 to noon. So come hang out, play. Every once in a while, I'll have different people on, and the shows, of course. And who? Oh, the
Who
best
joined?
disconnected and joined back up.
Oh, and if anyone is going to
Gamescom.
yes, if anyone is going to Gamescom, I will be there. So
Nice.
Very cool.
yes.
Yes, that answers one question. So do you know what other teams have been asked? I kind of
Um,
assume BM and SK.
yes. Like I don't know actually, but I'm gonna, it, it's pretty obvious. It's gonna be us, SK, and BM, and
Then
the fourth team is I have absolutely no idea.
yeah, pretty much. Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think that they might do what they did for the
PAX
PAX.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have a little wild card event. That's what Bart was talking
yeah,
about earlier, was how to do a wild card event, because they need to decide soon, basically, so that way they can inform the team, so the
yeah,
team can have time to figure out how to get there. And then,
exactly.
so it means it would need to happen in the next 2 weeks, either this weekend or next weekend. They would have to be like, there's a wild card event, so get ready.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's that.
Mhm.
exactly.
So yep, that's all. Thank you guys for joining me. I will let you all go now and have the rest of your days.
All right.
I'll see you guys later.
Later.
Thank you.
Bye bye.